And so in this video, what I'd like to be doing is just introducing some core mechanics and core ideas of what Heroes of the Storm is about. I'm kind of designing this video for people who are generally familiar with the MOBA genre. They've probably played some MOBA before, but maybe they've never played Heroes of the Storm before. So in this game, I'm going to be playing, let's just look at what's going on here. So we got play, we got our home. This is, this party finder. If you want to find people, you turn that on, and basically it just adds you to general. I'm gonna nerf the music, I think, a little bit. Right now, they're always advertising the new hero, and so you can look at the shop and say, okay, this is the initial cost of new heroes as they're released. The way the hero release cycle is structured, they will release heroes initially for 15,000 gold, and then after 2 weeks they drop it to 10,000 gold, and then every 3 months they drop one hero below that. But generally, a lot of the new heroes are staying at about 10,000 gold. I mean, we can look at this. Let's see. Price, or no, release date, yeah. Okay, so Greymane's 15,000. Cho was actually a free hero, kind of a special event hero released related to BlizzCon. And so he's an interesting hero. He is played by having one person control Cho, who controls the movement and some attacks, and then Gaul, who is kind of riding shotgun and is just doing attacks. Kind of an unusual MOBA hero. But yeah, pretty much, let's see, Butcher is still at 10,000, Johanna's at 10,000, I think. Everyone here is 10,000 till a new rec. So basically going back for the last almost 15 heroes, they basically keep them at 10,000 and don't drop the price too much. So that's kind of what you're looking at. So there are a fair number of heroes that are cheaper. So ETC, Lili, Malfurion, Muradin, Raynor, and Vala are all 2,000 heroes. So you can get all 6 of these heroes for 2,000 gold each, which, you basically means you can get 5 of these for the cost of one of the newer 10,000 gold heroes. And Raynor is a very high win rate hero. Vala used to be really popular, but she's tapered off a little bit due to changes in the meta. Muradin, very solid hero. Malfurion, generally regarded as an okay hero. I don't like him very much, but it's a preference thing. Lili, pretty high quality healer. And ETC is one of the best crowd control heroes in the game. So, it's not saying that to win the game you have to buy the most expensive heroes. It's just the newer heroes get more expensive. Anyway, they sell skins, which you can completely ignore if that's your kick. Mounts. This one is for gold. One or two you can get the other means, but most of them are for, the ridiculous $10. I don't know. I think they could have done the mount prices differently. They do these bundles. I've never bought a bundle, so I can't really comment. And stem pack, it's like 7 days for $4. And this doubles your gold and experience. So I guess, if you really know you're gonna go on you're gonna be playing pretty regularly for a week, I guess go for it. But I played this game for almost a solid year without ever getting a stim pack, and then there was this one deal. I was like, why not? And I got a long-lasting one now. But I'm a noob. Anyway, so you can also watch replays. Pretty much, if you're watching any replays in any game, it will be obvious how that works. And so you can see on the hero, you got your skins, you got your versus option. So we can do training, and that would be just really you're just sitting there basically following. You can do whatever you want because the AI is never going to threaten you. You can do AI on a bunch of different difficulty settings. Usually people play on elite. I'm probably going to have this one on beginner, just because I want to show the momentum of the game a little bit. Quick match is the usual go-to, and that's what usually you can find streams and stuff for. That's what most of my videos are in. Ranked, which I do play a little bit, but not too much. basically, right now they have this weird thing where you can either queue ranked as solo queue or with a +1. You can't do a 3-man party, which I think is very awkward right now. They're trying to redo the matchmaker or something, but it's pretty weak right now. And then Team League, you have to have 5 people, and so having 5 people that you really feel confident that you're going to win a game going into a Team League with is you have to have 5 people all online at the same time. It'd be a little bit tricky. Custom games, if you want to just really set something up all together on your own. So down here you can see the skins, here's all the skin options, mounts, abilities, and talents. And so the abilities are the things that are going to be on the hero, and so you're going to always have your Q, W, E, and D. And so the Q is kind of your main heal on the Malfurion. W is your Moonfire, this is your damage dealer, and Entangling Roots is your root. And so the way this game usually works is that each hero is usually going to have one kind of sustainability, one damage ability, and then one either escape or one, in this case, a root, right? So if you look at, now here we go, Brightwing, you got your damage dealer, Arcane Flare, you have your disable, your crowd control, and then you have Pixie Dust, you have an escape, basically, or a damage mitigation as well. And that's the way it is with a lot of heroes. Then you're going to have your D, this is your trait, and so this is usually what is really making, helping make the hero distinctive. In Malfurion's case, it's Innervate. It's one of the only ways to increase. I think he is the only support that can really increase the mana of friendly heroes, which means you have a lot more capacities for sustained damage, and if you have a good mana-heavy composition, so it can be quite good. He has 2 ultimates. Twilight, which is kind of I think the general go-to ultimate for Malfurion. He heals everyone in an AoE around him over a period of 10 seconds. And then Twilight Dream, which silences and damages nearby enemies. This is a little bit harder to really make work, but I think it's probably fine if you're either in a multi-healer game, a multi-support game, or if there's really going to be a lot of melee assassins that are going to be trying to dive in on you. Talents. So the main difference of Heroes of the Storm versus any other MOBA is that there's not really an item shop. You don't buy upgrades. What happens is as the game progresses, you increase in level. Your team collectively increases in level. And when you hit certain level breakpoints, you unlock a new affix for one of your abilities or your ultimate. So at level 10, you choose either Tranquility or Twilight Dream. The rest of the abilities, you will always have these 4 as a base, and then you choose one of the 2 heroics, which you unlock at level 10. So here you can kind of work into certain builds based around what you're concerned about on the map. Am I really concerned about map awareness? I can throw out a scouting drone. I almost never get scouting drone because I think it's a terrible ability, but that's a personal preference. But if you have everyone on your team has mana and you're going to be laning with them pretty consistently in the early part of the game, Shando's Clarity might be really nice. Moonburn increases damage to minions and mercenaries, basically jungle, if you're more of a Dota player. Increases by 100%, so, the other way would be to think of this, say if you're playing Star Battle, then this would be something where it's like, okay, I'm really worried about Guardian or Carrier. I want to increase damage to units created, like that, the siege threat. Whereas here you just have Harmony, which reduces, if Moonfire hits, reduce the mana cost of regrowth. So if you're using your Moonfire, your damage dealer, you can also heal kind of at the same time at a reduced cost. So you generally have 4 different options that aren't going to really completely redefine your hero, but will help you deal with the specific way you want to work an individual map and hero composition. And that's the way it's going to go at each level. And so you're going to find that certain heroes will tend to a lot of players will tend to gravitate around certain builds on some heroes. And this is what gives the game a reputation for being semi-casual, that there's going to be some people who are just going to do cookie cutter builds all day long. And certainly I sometimes play cookie cutter builds if I'm playing a new hero and just want to get a sense of, okay, what is one way a lot of people play this hero. It can be informative. But a lot of the time you really gotta, when you're dealing with a weird composition, it can be really important to be able to react to the threats that are in the game you're actually playing. So, sometimes if they have a Kael'thas that is going his Fireball ultimate, maybe Ice Block is going to be the way to go. And if they have a Vala that is pure auto attack damage, maybe Shrink Ray is going to be the way to go. And you're just going to have to do a judgment call based on, okay, what heroes do they have that I have to deal with? And then at 20, you can either upgrade your heroic ability usually, and so, either we're going to increase the healing of your ultimate, you're going to increase the silence duration, make it so they can't cast spells, or you can pick up even a new little ability you'd activate by hitting the number. So you would, say you grab Storm Shield, this would be an active ability, and so any active ability, Scouting Drone would be an active ability, is something that you can hit 1 and then 2, and so say you had picked up Scouting Drone at 1, that would be your 1, and then when you hit 20 and you picked up Storm Shield, that would be your 2. And so if you're like, well, I like Serenity, or I like Tranquility, but my concern is I'm going to get interrupted, and so if I get interrupted, maybe I'm going to grab Storm Shield instead so that I can still maintain the protection on my team. Or maybe I've gone a build that really focuses on entangling roots, right? And so instead of focusing on my ultimate or on Storm Shield, I'm going to grab Rewind and be able to cast Entangling Roots one more time, right? So as you hit level 20, the game really allows you to diversify your abilities. Bolt of the Storm, a Blink Teleport, really increasing your mobility, of course, is very popular for a lot of different heroes. So, you do gotta bear in mind, of course, that sometimes games just won't even get to level 20. It'll be over before then. Not most of the time in Quick Match, but in certain game types, Hero League or AI matches in particular, the game will just be so one-sided. And that's what we're going to see. I'm going to do a beginner game just to get a sense of a few important ideas and concepts in this game. And AI wait timers tend to be pretty fast. This is actually 20 seconds is actually kind of slow for the AI queue, but if I had done Elite, maybe the wait here would have been a little bit faster. But it still shouldn't take too long. So, is HOTS a casual MOBA? And is that a bad thing, if it is? I think of various MOBAs I've played. I played a little bit of Dota, and partly it was the player base, and partly it was the erratic nature of the hero selection that I just really felt pretty put off. It really just didn't do it for me at all. So I uninstalled that pretty fast. And I never really ever looked back. And it wasn't because I think of myself as a casual, but rather because it just wasn't doing it for me. No, I did play, for a while I played Storm of the Imperial Sanctum on StarCraft 2 Arcade, which was kind of a wannabe Defense of the Ancients. I did play some Hero Attack, but that Hero Attack is not... I've never personally felt like it was a very polished MOBA, and I haven't really played it that much. And of course, Star Battle is a MOBA, but it's so different from this that it's hard to really compare it. you know, this is much more of a conventional MOBA, first of all, so Star Battle is more the exception to the rule, really, when it comes right down to it. And so, oh, yeah, and so with the AIs, what it actually did is it paired me with, you know, one other person here chose for a beginner AI, but 3 people, this 3-man party, all chose the veteran AI, and so it matched us with them. Kind of a slightly weird comp here, but it doesn't matter. I mean, you can't lose versus beginner AIs practically unless you're like actively, coordinatedly trying to throw.
What do you say? Ready to have a little fun?
And so because I'm not really super worried about needing to ever actually heal people, because some of these comps are going to be so bad they won't need to, I say, okay, I'm going to try to win even faster, right? I'm going to think, okay, especially because we also have a Lily, right? So we have 2 support, which is why I said this is kind of a slightly odd comp. So I'm going to go more damage on Mooner.
So it shall be.
Hello. Right. So, Artanis does have mana, so as he uses his mana, I can innervate him. Which would that be? Matinshi. I have a lot of friends in this game, but I don't think this is someone I know. Ooh, sound effects are just loud too. Everything's loud right now. So the master volume is too high. I turned on the music, but that was not enough. And so this, I can't believe I missed that. Oh, okay, there we go. And so yeah, you know, Artanis is using his crowd control, and I can innervate him after he does that. I can heal him as he takes tower damage. And so these are the towers. You know, they deal a fair amount of damage to heroes. It's generally kind of risky to go for them too much if the enemy team is competent and alive, neither of which is the case in this particular situation. These are the forts. This is the fountain. The fountain lets you regenerate the health of your enemy without going all the way back to the base, but it has a long cooldown. This is a pretty common mechanic, and you know, it was a common mechanic in Defense of the Ancients, and then, well, not exactly a fountain, but a similar sort of concept. It was like you could get your one big heal on a long cooldown, so you could at least have some sustain. But generally, as time went by, you would at some point need to probably go back. And so, as I said, I'm still focusing on this just kind of pure damage Malfurion build, which is still not going to do very much damage compared to a lot of my allies. You know, I'm still, you know, I'm higher than actually several of them, higher than Lily and Nova in siege damage, but very kind of low hero damage. Right now, we are getting seeds on this particular map. We collect seeds, and so in the bottom right you can see the current seed count. The enemy team has gotten 37, we so far have 43. And when we get 100, we get a something spawns right here, a Garden Terror spawns right here, which lets one person from our team enter the Garden Terror, and they have an increased health pool and can spawn plants, which disable the enemy base. So the idea is, okay, we're going to get in the Garden Terror, and we're going to walk up to the base here, and destroy the entire base, ideally. But we're going to need to wait for the next night cycle to get that on, because we are just a little bit short. The AI managed to kill the production unit down there. Even though the comps are mostly pretty easy, they still sometimes do a little bit of stuff. This is not really the best lane for me because Lily is here with the tank, so they already have a lot of healing. Even though I'm mostly damaged, even a mostly damaged Malfurion is still a healer, kinda. Like, it's you can have a specialized build, but you can't redefine your role entirely. I mean, maybe with like Lily you can kind of try, but no. Just more entangling roots damage. It's a good way to kill computers because they don't dodge it very well. Also, Treants are cool. So right now, this is actually going a little slower than I anticipated. But we're pushing in on a casual base. 2-man pushing into this fort. And this is going to ideally let us get a tower here, and as you kill the enemy base, that increases your current experience. So you can see the experience in the top center. The 8 indicates that we are currently level 8, and the 6 indicates that the enemy team is level 6. And so we are winning right now because we are up in levels and also dealing more damage to their base. The objective of the game is to deal enough damage to the enemy base that we can at some point get in and kill their core, which is basically the same premise of Dota. And so my Entangling Roots actually is doing a fair amount of damage to carrying there. You know, I'm a support role, but I am still doing damage, and with Nova coming up and getting the gank on these computers. You know, Nova is a gank hero, right? She is generally invisible. She has a very, very low health pool, but high burst damage. I'm not sure I'd really say, you know, some people say ADP, and it's like, I would definitely not say Nova is an ADP, although with her ability right here, Gathering Power, each hero takedown increases ability power by 2% to a maximum of 30%. This bonus ability is lost on death. She can become very, very high burst damage. So much so that it can be hard to deal with her. And so Artanis went off to do other stuff, so I don't have anyone to use my Innervate on, so I'm not being a very effective Malfurion, and this is kind of the reason I don't like Malfurion that much, is you basically always want to kind of be with the team, which means he's not very good for this map type, where sometimes you just want to lane because that's what you want to do. And that was my ultimate right there, my heroic. You can see the long cooldown on Twilight Dream, but that did a big AoE damage that also silenced the enemy team. So now the next range of objectives is spawned, and we actually already have the plants necessary to get the Garden Terror, and everyone is going to go fight over it or something, I don't know.
The Terror cannot wait long.
So now I have picked up the Garden Terror, and so I have an E, Sprint. This increases my move speed. I have a W, Overgrowth. This is what disables all enemy buildings and also deals AoE damage to the creeps, the little units that increase your experience. And then I have Queen's Curse, which turns anyone who stands in it into a sheep for a few seconds. Good crowd control. And so the idea of this this big monster is that in a otherwise close game, it can help you break through and turn the tides of battle and win the game. You know, make sure the game doesn't just keep going on forever. It will deal more base damage than the enemy team can deal with if things are otherwise equal. So I'm going ahead and taking out this keep, right? So there's forts and then there's keeps. This front row of buildings are the forts. They deal, they give less experience than the keeps, and that is a very important difference. So when you get a keep, you are increasing your lead over the enemy team by a higher amount. So now we are up to level 14 versus the enemy team's 10. they are not dealing a lot of damage to us, and I'm about to run out of time on the Garden Terrace.
You are but meat and flesh once more.
Oh. And I'm gonna ult to disengage, maybe. Yeah, and the computers, they... Oh, can I actually... No? Or... Merlin?
How dare you?
Sort of an interesting engage here. Yeah. I have ground the ire of the computers, and I have managed to die.
Killing spree over.
Oh, somehow they have 3 kills, even. Who else died? Oh, wow. Lily died twice. How on earth did Lily die twice to 3 veteran AIs? Well, I mean, the veteran AIs can be a bit aggressive at times, and we were pretty deep here. Nova just lost all her stacks. And so in these versus AI matches, it's not going to be very exciting. It's going to be pretty casual, and it can help you take care of daily quests, get some gold, get some experience, so you can unlock more heroes, which is... But actually, I do find this mode kind of relaxing sometimes. Like, I generally am not... Like, some people will just not play versus AI matches because they find it too dull. I'm like, it's fine sometimes, especially if you're going versus elites. Not so much this type of thing where I'm just setting up beginners so I can take the time to try to explain these concepts.
As nature wills.
In some ways, the AI is so bad that it actually is making it harder to explain certain concepts. So, a lot of the time there's going to be team fights over these objectives. And the AI is not going to demonstrate that very well.
Enemy spawns attack.
Because the AI is bad. Even on Elite, it's not very good. It's not very good at playing the game. It loses a lot. All the time. I have not lost versus any difficulty of AI, ever. This is a point of reference. So I say it's easy, I mean it's pretty easy. Gonna use my ult, go my Moonfire, and we're gonna kill Arthas. Sylvanas is real happy now, even though she's not in this game. And then I'm really just continuing to poke down this main base. The AI is not really threatening us, but we're also not doing damage as fast as I'd like, so that's too bad. Okay, maybe we can kill a Kerrigan and continue to grow our lead. Go to Moonfire, keep the mana regeneration up. But yeah, so this is when the keep dies here, that it will be the point at which we win. And so this is, you know, if I was trying to convince you that this was a serious MOBA, playing a versus easy AI match is not probably going to be the way to go. But I wanted to go over some of just the core base concepts of how this game works, and hopefully that's a little bit clearer now. So hopefully this video was informative. If you liked it, keep watching these Heroes of the Storm videos, and I'll catch... Oh, wait, no, I wanted to explain the quests too. One last thing, so at the end of the game, after the game is over, you can see your summary. How much gold did I get? Oh, I got 25 gold and 23,000 experience. Now, this seems low. And it is. And so most of your gold income really comes from the daily quests. And so the game really encourages you to log in, you know, at least once every 3 days, play 3 games or so, and get basically 1,000 gold every 3 days. And so this just, you know, it encourages you to keep coming back, to keep up with the changes in the game and the changing dynamics. And in this way, you can increase your hero pool and have a little bit more versatility as the weeks go on. The stats tab will probably be reworked in the not-so-distant future, is my understanding. But you can see the relative damage amounts, and the XP amounts, and the roll. And so I'll try to explain that here. So this is total hero kills. This is basically just last shots. This is, you got the killing blow. Assists is pretty straightforward. If you were involved in any way in killing an enemy hero, then you get an assist. And so me and Nova were pretty much, I I'm almost guessing that the 2 assists from Nova were the 2 killing blows that I got. Like, I think that we were in everything pretty much. But we actually managed to get 5 total deaths this game. It's kind of sad. I was keeping up almost with Sergeant Hammer and siege damage, which is funny. I think our Lili might really have been... I think this group of 3 was probably learning the game from the white, would be my guess of what was going on there. It was a 3-man party, and Lili having 22,000 heal is certainly much higher than mine, but also much lower than their Uther, which will not usually be the case with Lili. Usually Lili should out-heal Uther, even if you're basically winning all the time. So, you know, some people get, does siege damage and hero damage really mean you're contributing the most? And the answer is no. I mean, sometimes if you are soaking when you should be in a team fight, or when you are doing sustained damage but not getting kills, you have really big numbers, but you're not necessarily helping your team actually win the game. You know, if they have good support, if they have a Brightwing that's just automatically healing for no mana cost at all, the damage you're dealing, well, sure, you're dealing lots of damage, but if it's all spread out and you're not really penetrating and weakening them down, what's the point? And so roll is, in this case, if you're a healer, it's saying the amount of healing you did. It's not really counting roots and slows and these other things, though, and so Malfurion will always appear very low because so much of his ability talent, especially the one I went for, is built around entangling roots. And so since it doesn't count that, the roll tab is really very misleading and not really all that helpful, but that's whatever. And then XP contribution, how much did you contribute to accelerating the level growth of your team over the enemy team? And so what does this really mean? This means, okay, how much were you lane soaking, and how much were you doing these other things, which are important in some ways to winning the game, but not necessarily always the most important. So again, XP contribution doesn't always necessarily mean you really were doing the most. I mean, it can even sometimes mean maybe you were out of position, right? Like maybe if you had been getting contributing to better team fights and getting better team kills, then the whole team would have spread out better, and you would have been able to do a full lane spread after killing the enemy team. Right, and so you also get quests each day, so play a support hero, trying to kind of encourage you to not just simply play one hero. It's trying to get you to be at the point where you at least have like a group of 3 to 6 heroes that you play on a regular basis. So, I think they actually would rather have you be kind of at a point where you have like 9 heroes you play. And they have a 10 hero limit for Heroes of the Storm. I'm sorry, for Hero League. And, they have Warcraft, Starcraft, Diablo, Warrior, Assassin, Support, Specialist. So really, strictly speaking, I think that they want you to have 12 heroes in a way, right? So you can have 1 Warcraft Warrior, 1 Warcraft Assassin, etc. Of the hero selection right now, I originally actually I installed the game basically to try out the idea of Abathur. As the game went on, I realized that mechanically it's really hard to get a good win streak going with him, because a lot of the time your team just doesn't handle the way he plays well. But the idea of Abathur is that he sits in the back, kind of sieges the enemy base with these minions he creates, but mostly uses mines and this buff for your team to help win the game, whereas as opposed to directly contributing to fights. So I thought it was a really interesting concept. It made me get into the game, but then as the game went on, I was like, he's not really that good of a hero, but at this point I like the game. And that's kind of one of the things that I like about Heroes of the Storm, is that it does kind of try to experiment with these kind of new hero concepts, right? It wants to break the mold a little bit. Not too much, mind you, but a little bit, just enough. Arthas, I think, is a pretty good example of the normal schmormal heroes they go for, he is a big, beefy, tanky warrior. He has the ability to regenerate himself in certain ways, and he has relatively decent slowing effects. So although he's not necessarily a huge crowd control hero, he's not like ETC where he can stun the enemy team and just make them sit there and die. But what he can do is he can root them, he can slow them down so that you have a positional win. But he's not... but I actually think Morales is one of the easiest heroes to learn right now because it's just basically like playing a Shield or Arbiter in Star Battle, and having that analog there makes for a very easy gameplay for me. Let's see, basically playing, who is it? Oh, Nova, who I don't actually own, or Zeratul, who I also don't own. Both of these stealthy assassins are permanently invisible, and so that actually makes them very similar to playing like a Void Ray in a way, with all the pros and cons of that. Nova can become very, very, very strong, but she can also be really just completely shut down depending on the way things are going in any given game. Although Nova, on the whole, has a very high win rate right now, just because of her incredible damage, really. I mean, it's ridiculous. Some of my favorite heroes, I even got the Mecha Tastar skin. Yes, Tastar, he increases the health pool of your allies. And I feel like he has pretty decent just siege damage. So, if you do have a double support game, he can buff the other support, keep the entire team alive, while also maintaining decent damage.